The NASDAQ was down more than 400 points. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Bob Agnew.
News and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Showers possible, ending around midnight. The low is 71. Tomorrow, we'll have more clouds than sunshine to go with a 40% chance for showers. The high still a mild 85. We're warmer on Wednesday, high back up to 91. And it's the mid-90s for Thursday and Friday with the skies clearing out. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com. The Point.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, if you're sitting at home and listening to the program or sitting by your office computer or just out on a walk, you can do this. If you're driving, don't do what I'm about to tell you, but reach around, give yourself a pat on the back because, folks, we have made it. It is talking season time here on Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. Josh, did you give yourself a pat on the back?
I just did. I was doing it after you asked, yeah. Didn't think you were actually watching.
But we finally made it to a talking season. ACC Media Days coming up later this week. Sunbelt Media Days this week as well. And then SEC Media Days next week. We'll have it all covered wall to wall for you right here on Sports Talk. A pleasant good Monday evening to you. Hope you had a terrific weekend. Chris Bergen in our super secret upstate lair here tonight, getting ready to head over to Clemson in the morning for their annual local media day, their media outing that'll start at around 9 o'clock inside the football practice facility. And we'll talk to a lot of the assistant coaches, staff members, and then hear from head coach Dabo Sweeney just after lunch. So we'll have all of that for you coming up on the program tomorrow. Meantime, Josh Cohen back in our Columbia studios. Josh, how was your weekend, sir?
Uneventful as always, and I'm good. That was a great weekend.
So clearly, you were not assigned, as I was, to cover the Major League Baseball draft and keep an eye on all of that going on both Saturday and Sunday.
I was not, but I did read your coverage, and you did a good job at it.
I appreciate it. And actually, Phil over in the Netherlands was making sure he was plugged into it as well. Phil's still on vacation overseas. He is scheduled to be back with us coming up on a Friday. We will see if he actually makes it back in time or if he's out the entire week, and then we'll just send him straight to Tampa. That would actually make more sense, wouldn't it, Josh, for him to just fly straight down to Tampa, take a weekend off, and then go right into media days?
I think he's coming back into Atlanta, so he's already right on that way. And, I do know some people at the Customs, so he may just be out of town for the entire next week. I'm not sure. Well, we're still in the process of planning, but I do know some people at the
that was
Border
something
Patrol.
Andy suggested. Yeah, that was something Andy suggested on the program last week. So if you'd like to join us in Phil's absence, you're certainly welcome at 888-898-2525. Again, that's the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number at 888-898-2525. Plus, you can text us anytime. We've got some time to get into your phone calls and text messages tonight at 803-900-4847. Again, that's 803-900-4847. We've got a fun show for you here on this Monday evening. You may remember last week, we touched on it late in the week, that the city of Charleston is going to be conducting an outdoor basketball exhibition in late September. It's going to be the Link U Invitational, and it will feature both the College of Charleston against the Citadel and Vanderbilt against Virginia. So Bob Moran, the president of BMOC Sports and Entertainment, who is actually leading a portfolio of premier tennis and event properties, including this event, also the Credit One Charleston Tennis Open as well. So he's now venturing into basketball. So Bob's going to join us right after 6:30. We will talk with him about why do this, why so early in the season when it's in the middle of football season and also how he got the other two teams involved. Makes sense that you have the Citadel and the College of Charleston, clearly. But how did he get Vanderbilt and Virginia coaxed into this four-team doubleheader that will again take place at the beautiful, beautiful tennis facility down in Charleston? So looking forward to Bob joining us. He'll jump on the program just after 6:30. As I mentioned, it is talking season, and of course that all leads up to the beginning of the regular season. And for Clemson, that means a date on the road at LSU. Well, a good friend of the program and a South Carolinian in his own heart, he won't be for that ball game. The voice, formerly the Greenwood Eagles, long time ago, Georgia Southern, but now the voice of the LSU Tigers, Chris Blair, will be back with us on the program. He's set to join us at around 7:05 this evening, and we will talk with him about a lot of things. And I don't know, Josh, is it a bigger deal for us to talk with him about the matchup with Clemson or just the matchup he's had on a daily basis with Lane Kiffin?
I don't know. We'll have to ask him, because has he had a lot of interaction with Lane Kiffin? I'm sure they give him enough material for the football season, but
well, that's for sure. So, yeah, I think it'll be fascinating. Plus, we can talk with him about LSU baseball, because 2 years ago, of course, they were the national champions, beat Coastal in the College World Series finale. And then this past season, didn't he make the NCAA tournament? So what is going on with LSU baseball? So we'll dig into all of that, plus get a preview with Chris of SEC Media Days right after 7 o'clock. We've got recruiting for you on the way later on in the program, and we'll touch on some news notes as the evening progresses. But as I joked with Josh a few minutes ago as we kick off the program here tonight, I want to get you caught up in case you did miss it. And it was not hard to do, especially yesterday, from picks in the 5th round all the way through the 20th round. It was almost like a sprint to the finish as opposed to the marathon, which it should have been, of 613 selections in the Major League Baseball draft over a 2-day time frame. So we'll get you caught up on what we saw over the weekend, and you're certainly welcome to chime in your thoughts. Looks like, for the most part, the guys that we expected to go, especially on the Clemson side, went and were fairly, I guess, evenly divided throughout the rounds. It may have been a little bit of a surprise, especially when you look back to the start of his career as a freshman and a sophomore, that the first player off the board of the current Clemson roster, not that it was a surprise that it was Aiden Canuck, but a surprise that he did not go until the 5th round. I think this is a young man, especially from the pitching perspective, that probably would have gone inside the top 4 rounds had he may have been available for the Major League Baseball draft last year, but was not able to do so. So he comes out and he's in the 5th round. Still plenty of opportunity.
Bergie. All right. Well,
I think if you had any questions as to really this past season, why weren't the Gamecocks any good? Sir?
You there, Bergie? We lost you there for a second. Can you hear me?
I am here.
All right. Continue.
Oh, I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm in the underground bunker here, the super secret upstate lair. So this may happen on occasion, and my apologies if that's the case. If I do dive out, it might be Josh on his own, Plumber Radio, from 6 until 8 o'clock. Who would not want to listen to that?
I like Plumber Radio. PlumberRadio.com, already trademarked.
Is it really? Oh, for you. Okay. I thought you were serious. I thought maybe there was a home improvement show that actually had Plumber Radio, PlumberRadio.com.
There actually is a podcast already named Plumber Radio, so... Well,
okay. All right. Fair enough. They probably do have that trademark. All right. Where did you lose me? Right after Aiden Canuck?
Yes.
I would assume?
Yes.
All right. So what I was getting into, if you were wondering why South Carolina baseball struggled as mightily as it did, I think you only have to look as far as what you saw over the weekend and the fact that the Gamecocks had no one drafted in the first 10 rounds of their current roster, and you had to wait until, good grief, all the way until, where was it, the 15th round, where Amp Phillips finally went off the board for the Gamecocks. So a long, long time of waiting, and I think that probably illustrates that, the Gamecocks just did not have a whole lot of talent on that roster that Kevin Snall is now trying to rebuild, and I think he caught a lot of breaks over the weekend, and certainly one of them, probably the biggest one, will be Alain Gomez-Godino, who is one of the top, if not the top catching prospects in the country coming out of Arizona. Young man that actually grew up, I believe, in Venezuela and migrated himself along with his family into Arizona, and he's ranked as one of the top catchers in the country, switch hitter with a lot of power, and he was not selected in the first 8 or 9 rounds, so he said, fine. You know what? I will take my talents to Columbia. So it looks like he is going to stick with his commitment to the Gamecocks and come play baseball in Columbia for the next couple, or at least through this first season with Kevin Snall and company. But if you did sort of overall picture, if you did miss the draft over the weekend, I mentioned 613 selections over the 2 days. The State actually had 29 of those picks. Clemson and USC had 7 picks each, and there were a total of 6 first-round picks with ties to the State, one of them being, of course, Cameron Fluke, the outstanding pitcher from Coastal Carolina. He was first off the board at number 22 overall. He went to Detroit, and being number 22, that makes him the highest Major League draft pick in Coastal Carolina history, surpassing Eric Brown, who was taken 27th overall by Milwaukee. Back in 2022, you may remember last year, Caden Bodine was taken 30th by the Baltimore Orioles. Then, as we pointed out at SportsTalkSC.com, and hat tip to the State newspaper for digging through the archives and figuring this stat out, 3 high schoolers all selected in the first round. And this is the first time since 1969 that our state has had 3 high school players from South Carolina to go in the first round. Southside Christian pitcher Carson Bowman went 29th to the San Francisco Giants, and then James Island outfielder Taj Marchand was selected 33rd overall by the Tampa Bay Rays. And then we finally got to the history, and it was on the last pick, ironically enough, of the opening round. Christchurch infielder Bo Lawrence was selected 40th overall by the Los Angeles Dodgers 57 years ago. That was long before, well, I won't say long before, but it was before both of us on this program were born, barely. From my perspective. But anyhow, you had Timmonsville's Mike Anderson, who was selected 6th overall by the Phillies. Don Hood, who went 17th overall to the Baltimore Orioles out of Southside High School over in Florence. And then James Island, once again, producing a first-rounder in Gorman Thomas, who was the 21st overall selection to the Seattle Pilots. Not the Mariners, the Seattle Pilots at the time. All of those players going in the first round. Greenville High School's right-handed pitcher Taylor Rabe of Ole Miss, he was actually selected 30th overall by the Kansas City Royals. And Clemson commitment right-handed pitcher Blake Bryant was drafted 31st by the Diamondbacks. The Citadel, Upstate, Wofford, Francis Marion even had a player chosen in the draft over the weekend. And just a couple of other news notes from the weekend. Transfer pitcher Ethan Sutton out of South Florida, who potentially could be a closer for the Gamecocks, may have actually figured into a starting role as well, was nabbed with the last pick of the 16th round by the Los Angeles Dodgers. And here's the one I think most Gamecock fans were trying to keep an eye on, in addition to Gomez Godino. Texas Tech transfer Connor Schaus was selected in the 20th round by Seattle. Now, the consensus is that he is going to follow through with his transfer from Texas Tech and play for the Gamecocks. However, he did tweet out, "Thank you and bless for the opportunity," following the Mariners pick. So keep that in mind. The Post and Courier, though, had a fabulous stats. Players picked from rounds 11 through 13 over the last 3 years have signed 97% of the time. It considerably drops off, though, as you might imagine, percentage-wise, once you get later in the draft, and that's probably why you're going to see Connor Schaus in a Gamecock uniform. And Dutch Fork outfielder and Clemson commit Ethan Offing was drafted in the 18th round by the Boston Red Sox. So it looks like he may end up playing for the Tigers. Teams have until July the 27th, so they've got 2 weeks from today to sign their draft picks. Now, of course, tonight you have the Home Run Derby in Major League Baseball, and then you've got the All-Star Game coming up tomorrow. Josh, you a big Major League Baseball All-Star Game fan?
You know, I have watched it most years that I've been around the television. Like if I'm around, I'm probably watching it, but I don't really pay attention to it. I don't really know what it is. I mean, I know obviously that you get chosen for the All-Star Game. Is that right? And
that's
and
correct.
then you tell me more, because I'm going to make a fool of myself.
Well, no, you're right. The fans have the opportunity to vote in their favorite players, and normally it goes to the guys like Shohei Ohtani with the Los Angeles Dodgers, Chipper Jones for many, many years when he played for the Braves, some of the Aaron Judge with the New York Yankees. All the high-profile, famous players will be selected by the fans. That's who they want to see in the All-Star Game. And the one thing about the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, as opposed to the NHL and NBA All-Star Games, and certainly the farce that is the Pro Bowl from the NFL, this is the only one that's watchable. This is the only one that is actually a game. The two teams actually care. The players want to win it. And so this is the only thing that actually makes some sense and is worth watching from an all-star perspective. I enjoy the all-star game. I think it'll be a lot of fun to watch tomorrow night. The home run derby is always a lot of fun just to see. My perspective, though, and here's what I wish they would do, and I get it why Major League Baseball doesn't want to do this, but the whole point of the home run derby is not only just to see these guys, the big boppers, come up and hit a ball out of the ballpark. You want to see how far they can hit the ball. Josh, would it not be a lot more fun to give them aluminum bats like college players do and just see how far Aaron Judge could hit a baseball with an aluminum bat as opposed to a wooden bat?
I think that would be super cool. I mean, if we're doing it for fun, then might as well just go all out for it.
You know, you could have home runs that go 550 feet off an aluminum bat. I think that would be fabulous. I mean, that's why we watched the home run derby in the first place. We don't care if you hit one 375 into the power alleys and it just climbs over the wall for a home run. No, we want to see prodigious Babe Ruth type home runs. And so I've always thought it'd be a lot of fun. It just gives them an aluminum bat and just tell the third baseman to get out of the way and the first baseman to get out of the way. You don't need to be on the field anyway. And the pitcher makes sure that the protective netting that is put up in front of him as he throws the pitches towards home plate, make sure that is permanently into the ground as protection. But otherwise, I think it'd be fascinating. Now, the one issue that Major League Baseball has is what they did yesterday with the Futures game in Philadelphia. You probably don't know. I didn't realize because I had to look it up myself. But the American League actually beat the National League in yesterday's Futures game 6-1. The reason you probably didn't know about this is it started at noon while the draft was going on, and also the final day of the regular season was taking place before the brief All-Star break that starts today and resumes in terms of games back on Thursday. So my question is, with Major League Baseball, and the only complaint I have about All-Star Weekend, why not put the Futures game as, say, a prelude to the All-Star game tomorrow night, so people might actually get to watch and see these guys who maybe 4 or 5 years down the road may be playing for the Braves and the Mets and the Dodgers and the Yankees and, whomever. Instead, they were playing at noon yesterday, and doubtful anybody got to see them, and just let them come in, play at, say, 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon in Philadelphia, wherever the All-Star game is. Give every fan who already has purchased an All-Star ticket, let them come in for free and watch the Futures game, and it might be worthwhile. Or, if you don't want to do that, let them play on Wednesday nights. There is nothing going on in the world of sports for the most part on Wednesday. It's that rare occasion when you have very little in sports outside of the other semifinal of the World Cup, and that's every 4 years. You don't have much going on the Wednesday after the All-Star game. Here's another opportunity. But as Smitty told me earlier today, I don't understand why baseball does what it does. All right, 888-898-2525. If you'd like to comment on the draft, the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, Home Run Derby, any of that, you're certainly welcome as we get moving on a busy Monday here on Sports Talk.
It might be tough to picture your kid in college today, but it'll be here before you know it. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, makes it easy to start saving right now. You can start with any amount. Savings grow tax-free, and friends and family can chip in too. Discover the smart, easy way to save today at FutureScholar.com. That's FutureScholar.com. That's FutureScholar.com.
This is Major Billy Downer with the Department of Natural Resources, and I've got a message for all of our hunters out there. Whether you're on the water or going hunting on land, always tell someone where you're going. Be specific and tell them when you plan to return. Plan your hunt and hunt your plan. For more information on hunter education, visit dnr.sc.gov or join us on Wednesday nights for SC Wild.
Download the free Go Outdoors SC app from SCDNR, buy licenses, report harvests, and carry everything digitally right on your phone. Go Outdoors SC.
In 2012, inside Clemson football's weight room, a different kind of barbell was developed. The Tsunami Bar is a flexible, oscillating bar designed to enhance high-intensity training while helping reduce joint stress. Unlike traditional rigid bars, it moves. That movement forces your stabilizer muscles to activate, your core to engage, and your body to produce force more efficiently. The result is improved strength, better balance, and more functional performance. Tsunami Bar Sports continues to provide innovative, dynamic training solutions that empower individuals of all fitness levels to reach their peak potential. Whether you're training for general fitness, building resilience, or improving rotational strength for sports like golf, the Tsunami Bar challenges your body in ways traditional equipment cannot. Learn more at TsunamiBarSports.com.
Looking for thrills? Then welcome to the South Carolina Education Lottery, where excitement's the name of the game, and every chance at a win
Just one more. Come on, so close.
comes with the chance of a whiff.
Ugh. Well, no biggie.
Nicely done. You handled it like a pro. Because when the stakes start getting too real and you find yourself playing for more than fun, it might be time to take a break.
Good point.
Playing for fun makes you a better player, and a better player is a better you. Learn more at SCEducationLottery.com.
Monday night here on Sports Talk. Chris and Josh with you up until 8 o'clock this evening. You're welcome to be a part of the festivities tonight at 888-898-2525. And as we mentioned, talking season starting officially here this week on Sports Talk. Coming up tomorrow, I'll be up at Clemson for their local media outing. So we'll hear from Dabo Sweeney and several of the assistant coaches on the program tomorrow. And you can find out all of our coverage and follow along up on our Twitter page at SC Sports Now and also at SportsTalkSC.com. Matt Smith will be on the ground at ACC Media Days. Smitty's going to join us via the phone lines tomorrow and sort of gives a sneak peek as to what he's expecting from ACC Media Days. And then he'll be in Uptown Charlotte Wednesday through Friday. And a big coup for us. Josh, I know since I've been on the program and since you've been here, we've never had this before. But Smitty has somehow figured out a way to finagle a one-on-one sit-down with Dabo Sweeney, which ought to be fascinating, and I think that's going to be on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken.
It made me a little bit nauseous when I first heard about it because I didn't know how how jealous he would be. I didn't know if he'd come back when you got, wait a second. He'd be like, you got Dabo and I haven't gotten Dabo,
That may be part of the reason Dabo's sitting down with us is because it's not Phil.
Phil's in a different country. There's no chance that Phil could be there. But I just got a little lump in the back of my throat. I was just scared for what Phil's going to do when he gets back.
So that should be a lot of fun. And then former USC quarterback Stephen Garcia, about his health struggles that he is going through. He's got an event coming up here shortly, and he's going to be with us on a Wednesday. So we've got a lot of football coming right at you here the next couple of weeks as we head into the start of camp and then, of course, start getting ready for kickoff in late August and early September. All right, 888-898-2525. If you'd like to join us here this evening, we're going to talk a little bit more about the outdoor basketball exhibition down in Charleston that is coming our way on September the 27th. The Link U. Better make sure I got it. It's the Link U, not the Leak U. It's the Link U Invitational featuring the Citadel, College of Charleston, Vanderbilt, and Virginia. Bob Moran, who has helped organize that event, is set to dial us up here in about 10 minutes. Checking out the poll question of the week presented by Larry Lucas, State Farm Insurance. You can log on to SC Sports Now and put your votes in. Larry Lucas, State Farm in Columbia at 803-799-1998 and in Lexington at 803-359-0770. The question of the week is, multiple national analysts have put USC head coach Shane Beamer on their, quotes, hot seat list this summer. So our question to you is, how many wins do you believe it will take to get him off of the hot seat, if indeed he is? Your choices are 6, 7, 8, or 9. And right now, of the votes that we've gotten in thus far, 51% of you believe it should be at least 8 to get him off the hot seat. You couple that with the votes of 11% that came in at 9. So you're talking roughly 62% of the votes thus far saying he's got to win at least 8 or 9. I hate these type lists, Josh, because I think it's unfair, unprofessional for us to sit back here on a microphone and start calling for somebody's job But I get it. It's talking season. But these type lists always have bothered me. But I think Shane Beamer put some of this on himself last year. Remember, as the season was starting to wind down, the Gamecocks weren't playing very well. He said, well, enjoy it while you can, because he was talking not to Gamecock fans. He was talking to everybody else, basically saying we're going to be in the playoff discussion this time next year, which would have been middle tail end of November. So if that's indeed the case, the Gamecocks are going to have to win, I think, at least 9, if not 10, to be legitimately in the playoff discussion. Now, they're going to have one of the top 10 most difficult schedules, so that would soften some of the blows that have to come your way in terms of how many games you need to win. But I think it's going to have to take probably, especially for a team that's not been in the playoffs. Of course, they won 9 games a couple of years ago and didn't get in. You're looking at some teams this past season that won 10 and didn't qualify. So I'm not sure 8's going to get him off the hot seat. Certainly 7 or 6 won't. He wins 6. It's going to be a interesting December around here for sure. So you can vote up on our Twitter page at SC Sports Now. Sign out for our timeout here at the bottom of the hour. We'll come back and talk a little basketball in the Low Country. We'll do that next.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Showers possible, ending around midnight. The low is 71. Tomorrow, we'll have more clouds than sunshine to go with a 40% chance for showers. The high still a mild 85. We're warmer on Wednesday, high back up to 91. And it's the mid-90s for Thursday and Friday with the skies clearing out. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Groucho's Deli is the Midland's most loved, historic, and awarded deli and has been for decades, serving trademark subs like the STP Dipper with melty Swiss over roast beef, turkey, and bacon bits on a soft sub roll and served with Groucho's famous 45 sauce. Come into any of our 8 Midlands locations and see for yourself or pick up with fast, convenient, and friendly service at Grouchos.com or on the Groucho's app and sign up for the Groucho's Rewards and Birthday Brownie Club.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster has named Darlena Graham Nardone as her late brother Lindsey Graham's temporary replacement in the U.S. Senate. Graham died at age 71 over the weekend. Nardone will serve the remaining months of his term, which ends in January. A special election next month will determine the new Republican nominee for Graham's seat. The U.S. has announced a new round of strikes on Iran hours after President Trump said the United States is reinstating a blockade on Iran in the Strait of Hormuz and, in a seeming policy reversal, will charge other ships for safe passage. Iran has insisted it controls the critical waterway. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 138 points. The Nasdaq dropped 408. More details at srnnews.com.
Thursday at the Village at South Lake on Gibson Road in Lexington, the afternoon drive will be broadcasting live. Is independent living without the hassle for you? How about for mom and dad? Come see us. Get a tour of this beautiful facility, live music and refreshments, all kinds of free giveaways from the Point, plus VFT with your old pal Kev. That's Thursday, the Village at South Lake, 123 Gibson Road in Lexington from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Come see us.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
If you've never had genuine Wagyu or here for steaks and burgers, you don't know what you're missing. Time to order the best of the best from HandJCattle.com. These are local farmers in Saluda where tradition meets quality. The best quality beef and a discount for Point listeners. Enter keyword The Point as one word and get 10% off, plus free delivery in Lexington and Richland County orders of $50 or more. It's cooked in season over at HandJCattle.com.
Gas prices might be high, but your auto loan rate doesn't have to be. Beat your current auto loan rate by 2% when you refinance with Founders Federal Credit Union. Plus, make no payments for up to 90 days. That's right, save money with a great rate and make no payments for up to 90 days. Let a Founders representative be your trusted advisor to help make the refinance process quick and easy. Don't forget to ask for a free auto insurance quote to protect your purchase. Founders also offers mechanical breakdown protection that's competitive with most warranty plans available at dealerships. Stop by an office or apply on the Founders app today. To learn more, visit foundersfcu.com/auto. Not a Founders member yet? Visit the Founders website to see if you qualify for membership. For additional cost information, call us toll-free 800-845-1614. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
South Carolina summers are hot and humid and hard on your air conditioner. When your home stops feeling comfortable, call Sweet Comfort Services. We're family owned and operated with over 30 years of heating and air experience. From service and maintenance to complete system replacement, we're here to keep your family cool. We'll even meet or beat any quote from a licensed competitor. Schedule your appointment online at sweethvac.com or call 803-331-8143. Sweet Comfort Services, comfort you can count on.
Monday evening here on Sports Talk Media Network. Chris Bergen in our super secret upstate lair. And we've got Josh Cohen in Columbia ready to line you up on the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number at 888-898-2525. And don't forget, you can also text us anytime at 803-900-4847. May have some time in the back half of the program to get to some of those text messages. Certainly looking forward to hearing from you on this Monday. Catch up with Chris Blair, the radio play-by-play voice at LSU. Has been doing it there for just over a decade. And he, of course, will be on the call for the season opener with the Clemson Tigers, set for early September, but he'll be heading out, I'm sure, or at least covering it, SEC Media Days, so we'll get his take on all of that. Plus, what's it like to have Lane Kiffin on campus when Chris joins us just after 7 o'clock. But we told you late last week that Charleston is venturing into some basketball, and they'll be putting it on the outdoor tennis courts, which should be a really, really cool setup down in Charleston. And the gentleman who's helped organize this joins us now, Bob Moran, who is the president of BMOC Sports and Entertainment, has been leading a portfolio of premier tennis and event properties, including the Credit One Charleston Open, which is highly popular down in the Low Country, and now venturing into basketball with the Link U Invitational, the Citadel against the College of Charleston, Vanderbilt against Virginia on September the 7th at Credit One Stadium. And Bob joins us now on the phone lines. Bob, good evening. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you, Chris? Thanks for having me join.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Doing very well. Hope you had a great weekend. So we've seen basketball and aircraft carriers. Of course, they play the Final Four inside a domed football stadium, and now we're going to be on a tennis facility. So what was the inspiration for this event?
Well, right now I'm literally in a car on my way between Cincinnati and Dayton, because we also have a stadium and facility and tennis tournament we run up here in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I've always loved the idea of playing basketball outside, and our tennis stadium fits really well for that. And so the original idea came up here. We're doing something similar in October up here with Ohio State, Cincinnati, Dayton, and Xavier. And so when we're talking about the idea up here, I've always wanted to do it in Charleston. I was actually talking to Coach Kelsey about that before Coach Kelsey left us to go to Louisville from the College of Charleston. It was something we were talking about and saying this would be a really cool thing. So it's been out there for a while thinking about it, but we're finally in a place where we're executing against it. Tennis stadium is really a cool place to watch any sport, concerts, music, whatever. And to put basketball out there is just going to be a fun, unique experience for everybody.
Bob, it seems like a natural fit. Tennis facility looks like it's set up almost like a basketball arena to begin with. Why is it taking so long? If basketball coaches are at least in the idea and of the mindset that, hey, playing outside is not the worst idea, why is it taking so long? Because I don't remember ever seeing an opportunity like this on a tennis court before, gosh, even this year.
Well, I think one of the key things is the NCAA added an extra exhibition date for all of the teams. So I think that helped the conversation because it just allowed the schools to be a little creative and think a little differently than maybe they normally would. And I think anybody in college sports right now, especially NCAA basketball and football, are probably trying to find unique, different ways to differentiate from everybody else. And if we can bring a lot of extra exposure by doing something like this for these schools, I think it's just going to help them in the recruiting battles and raising money for NIL battles, all of the above. So I think that the timing just worked out where this all made sense for everybody involved.
Bob Moran, the president of BMOC Sports and Entertainment, kind enough to join us for a few moments here tonight on Sports Talk, chatting about the upcoming Link U Invitational, the Citadel against the College of Charleston, Vanderbilt, and Virginia on September the 27th at Credit One Stadium. Bob, we had a caller to the program late last week when we were discussing the initial reports about this, and he pointed out that Charleston used to do a lot of outdoor basketball opportunities, especially now during the summertime, for the youth in the Low Country to come out and play. Is this maybe a potential offshoot of some of those events?
Well, I don't think I've ever been involved with the youth sports side of this with outdoor basketball, but I remember plenty of Schick used to do the 3-on-3 contest, and then there used to be that morphed into other groups doing some outdoor basketball. So listen, we all grew up playing outdoor basketball, right? Before we hit the gym, we all did.
True.
And so to me, this is natural. This is like what we all grew up playing, was playing on the playground, playing outside your, in your front yard at the, on your driveway. That's how we all learned to shoot and play. So it shouldn't be crazy to think about it that way, but I know it's odd. They did it on the aircraft carriers for a couple of years. And like you said just a few minutes ago, doing it on a tennis court with a stadium and all the infrastructure we have, from bathrooms to concessions to locker rooms to gyms, we have everything to make this a really cool event.
Yeah, you bring up a great point about the players if they were growing up. I can remember actually working on my jump shot. It had to be pretty accurate because in my neighborhood where I grew up, the basketball court that I had in my driveway was on a slant. And so if you shot and missed the backboard or the rim, it was rolling down a hill for about a half a mile. So if you don't want to go chase the basketball, you better be pretty accurate with your jump shot.
Absolutely, without question.
The teams, I've seen some of the remarks from both the college, the Citadel, and even at Vanderbilt and Virginia. They all seem extremely excited about this opportunity. Clearly, I think it was fairly easy, I would think. As you pointed out, you had talked with Coach Kelsey about doing this a long time ago, so I don't think the Citadel nor the College of Charleston, you had to twist their arms very much. But how did Vanderbilt and Virginia come up in this discussion?
There's some natural relationships with Virginia and BMOC Sports Entertainment. Our owner, Ben Navarro, his daughters both played tennis at Virginia, so there's that natural connection. And then Mark Byington used to coach at the College of Charleston under Bobby Cremens, so he was here for quite a few years, so we got to know Mark back in the day, and so there's a natural connection for him to the Low Country as well.
Were any of them a little concerned about, and you talked about the NCAA, and maybe this alleviated all those concerns. To me, I always remember my college days, and I didn't play collegiately, but I was around the programs, and I always remember October 15th, almost like Christmas Day. That was the official start date to when practice began. I know we've gone long past that now, but were any of them concerned about having an exhibition 5 weeks prior to the start of the regular season?
Not at all. No, everyone, I think, getting that additional game, just anytime you get more time with your team and more opportunities to play and practice with other teams, I think that's just an advantage for college athletics. So I think they were all eager to do it. And, again, it's just something that's going to gain a lot of press and notoriety within the sports world. It already has. And again, just something to differentiate themselves from everybody else. And for us, this is a test for us. If, we want to see how it does, how people react to it. Right now, we're seeing a lot of great reaction from fans who are we're eager to see something different, and that's the positive. And we want to do something that people remember and have a great experience with, and that becomes something we do year in and year out with different teams, different opportunities.
Well, since you talked about the fans, let's dig in there. Tickets, when will they be available? Are they available now? Can fans come out? And what's sort of the setup? Is this going to have anything to do where some of the money may go to help the NIL properties at all 4 schools?
Yeah, there's going to be options for supporters of the schools to work through their schools to get tickets, or anyone can come buy tickets. You can go to credit1stadium.com for all the information they need on the sports. Yeah, tickets are for sale. Schools are selling tickets actively, and I think this is an easy way to get people involved in the NIL things as well. So everything is rolling right along, and opportunities are there for fans to buy tickets. So, and things are off to a really fast start, which we're really happy to see.
Oh, that's super to hear. Bob Moran with us for a few more moments, president of BMOC Sports and Entertainment. They have put together the Link U Invitational set for September the 27th with the Citadel, College of Charleston, Vanderbilt, and Virginia at Credit One Stadium down in Charleston. Bob, tell us a little bit more about your background and also what BMOC Sports and Entertainment does outside of putting together what appears to be a pretty cool event.
Yeah, we've been around for about 7 years. We obviously run Credit One Stadium in Charleston, which has mainly been around tennis, but we've also done beach volleyball in that stadium. We run golf events. We're truly a sports and entertainment venue. We also do about 20 to 25 concerts every year in the facility. So that's primary number one. And then a couple of years ago, we bought the rights to the event in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is the Cincinnati Open. It happens every August. Men's and women's tennis event. So trying to take things that we learn in Charleston and doing the same in Ohio. So we are part of the family office of Ben Navarro, who loves sports and he loves entertainment. So for him, this is another way to just, support the community, give back to the community by creating some special moments. And couldn't be more appreciative of the sport. Ben, when we ask Ben to do things like this, it's an easy yes to do something that's different and something that's like he loves special events and watching the community come out and support those events.
Now, will you be bringing in a basketball court from either the Citadel or the College of Charleston, or are you guys going to have to produce your own for this event?
Yeah, we're working with a company that does this. You've got so many different events out there in the preseason and the holidays that we'll be bringing in a professional court from Prater, who does this for a lot of different events across the country. So it'll be a very professional court out there, and building all the assets around it that make it feel really unique and different. But it's a basketball court, same dimensions as they play in every day with practice and their coliseums at college.
So you pulled out to Gene Hackman, take the tape measure, it's 10 feet tall and 15 feet to the foul line, right?
You are just reading my mind there, Chris. Yeah, that's where that came from. Exactly.
Great movie. One of my all-time favorites, Hoosiers. Bob Moran, the president of BMOC Sports and Entertainment. Again, the Link U Invitational at Credit One Stadium. Yes, the tennis facility down in Charleston, which is a fabulous, fabulous tennis center. It will serve as a basketball arena for a big-time doubleheader. The Citadel against the College of Charleston, Vanderbilt, and Virginia on September the 27th. And, Bob, if you don't mind, give that address once again for folks if they want to go ahead and get tickets and make sure they're there.
Yeah, they can go to credit1stadium.com and they can find out everything they need. We have a link to the site itself. It'll connect everybody.
Outstanding. Bob, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much for bringing what appears to be an awfully cool event to the Low Country. I hope it goes off extremely well, and it's a huge success, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Well, I appreciate the time, and thanks so much.
Yes, sir. That is Bob Moran, the president of BMOC Sports and Entertainment. Again, the Link U Invitational set for September the 27th at Credit One Stadium down in Charleston. All right, so you might be able to mix in a little basketball with your football weekend because, of course, that's still 5 weeks until the beginning of the basketball season. But, boy, Bob sounds fired up about it. I am too now. Glad we had him on the program. Take a time out and continue with more. It's a Monday here on Sports Talk. Come join us, won't you?
If you're juggling multiple credit card balances and you're feeling overwhelmed, high interest can add up quickly and it can become stressful to control. Now through September 30th, 2026, well-qualified borrowers can pause interest when they transfer credit card balances and enjoy 0% APR for 12 months. A balance transfer can help simplify your life, making it easier to focus and manage your budget. This limited time offer can help you move forward with confidence and less worry. Plus, with fewer due dates and less interest to worry about, you can spend more time focusing on what matters most: your goals, your family, and your financial future. Upon expiration, APR will then revert to the standard variable APR, currently 12.5%, to 17.90%. If credit criteria are not met, 17.9% APR will apply. Don't wait. Visit foundersfcu.com/cc for more details. Terms and conditions apply. Membership qualification required.
Traveling can be the worst, especially when you can't find your favorite show. Well, don't worry. We've got the perfect way to keep up with everything happening in the Palmetto State when you're away from home. Just pull up the Chief Sports app on your mobile device, and you can listen live to Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network.
So the next time you can't find us on one of our great radio affiliates, just log on to the Chief Sports app, the best way to stay connected with the Sports Talk Media Network.
There's people that go their whole education without having an African-American teacher. So when I received my lottery-funded life scholarship, I knew I wanted to choose a school that had the Call Me Mr. program. Their mission is to recruit and retain teachers to be those role models for students in underserved areas. And that's what I want to do for my students.
More role models means a better South Carolina. And a better South Carolina means a better you. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
It's something that very few of us here in South Carolina do this time of year. I was actually coming from the PD to the upstate. Most of you, of course, in this area, in the upstate, headed south and southeast, so you can head down to the Grand Strand and towards the Low Country where Bob is, and go ahead and get your tickets for the upcoming Link U Invitational in late September. But if you're looking for a vacation rental, maybe some property to buy along the Grand Strand, whether it be from Pawleys Island, Murrells Inlet, all the way up to North Myrtle Beach, you need to check out Jimmy Smith Vacation Rentals at James Smith Realty. They can hook you up for anything you need. As a matter of fact, I'm sitting here, Josh, and I'm looking at one of their featured rentals for the week up on their website at PawleysVacationRentals.com. There's a Charlestown with an E. It's old school. Charlestown Grant 10. It's inside Litchfield by the sea. It's, according to them, the perfect home for those who appreciate the best in marshfront living. 4 bedrooms, and you'll enjoy this, 4.5 bathrooms.
Plenty.
A lot of plumbing.
Yes. A lot of work for me after my radio career ends.
And it sleeps 10.
Okay. That's a lot per bed. If I am doing my math correctly, that's at least 2 per bed.
And it includes, if you stay there, you get all the amenities at Litchfield by the Sea, including biking and the walking trails, tennis and pickleball courts, beach access, and fishing docks. So need to check it out. It's a beautiful home. Got a lot of windows, a lot of natural lights. It sits up off the bottom. You've got the garage underneath, and as many of the homes along the Grand Strand do, it sits up on the pilings, so it stays off the ground. Just a lovely place to go visit. Maybe you don't like that one. Maybe you want something bigger. Maybe you want something smaller. Check out PawleysVacationRentals.com. Jimmy Smith is the man. Go by and see him. You can give them a call and check them out. Their local phone number, 843-237-4246. Again, 843-237-4246 for James Smith Realties. Big thank you to Bob Moran. Appreciate him dropping by for a visit here this evening on the program. Good stuff there for the Link U Invitational. And he allayed some of my fears. Josh, you'll remember last week I was a little concerned, being the old traditionalist that I am, that the season is starting way too early. Said the coaches actually like having an exhibition 5 weeks before the season starts.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. It gives the players a chance to just get acclimated to the season again.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's, the first week of games or the first, month of games even, you just have, it's like a You have to get acclimated, and this helps them do it even further. I guess the NCAA made it to where they could because, like, was it before the season you couldn't have this week of exhibition games?
Well, they were always able to play. They do a couple of secret scrimmages, and then they also have what used to be about 2 exhibitions. I'm not sure if they've expanded that to even further, but going 5 weeks back, as I was joking last week, it'd be almost like playing a college football exhibition game this weekend, because we're roughly, I guess, not quite 5 weeks. We've still got another week or so to go, but you're looking to September all the way through August and then towards the tail end of July. So we're not that far beyond.
I have no
that
problem with
5-week
that.
threshold.
I have no problem with that. I think we should do that. That's a good idea, Bergie.
I don't think many coaches would. I think the only thing they would prefer, and this is something that Shane Beamer and Dabo Sweeney have been, they may die on this hill. This is something they've been on their soapbox about for years, and I don't know that they're wrong, is to have an opportunity to play an exhibition against somebody else so you get a better gauge. Like Dabo says constantly, they're the only sports where, high schools have jamborees and scrimmages, and the NFL certainly has preseason games, so I'm not sure games, you're using that term loosely. But, yeah, I don't see necessarily a problem with it. You probably don't want it right in early August. You'd probably rather do it during the spring, but I don't necessarily have a problem with that at all.
Well, I see the spring games as almost like a weigh-in. For boxing, each opponent comes up and they
I like that.
But yeah, there's never been an event. Maybe there has, but there's not a. Currently, there's no event that shows these two rivals before the season, and then they face at the end of the season. Maybe not an actual game before the season, but a weigh-in before they play in November, I guess.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, they usually start first full week of November. You're going to get a game on a Tuesday, and that usually is the first official day. So we're talking November, usually right around election. Well, it'd be the week before, I guess, of Election Day. So, yeah, good stuff there. By the way, since mentioning the election, did want to pass along our condolences to the family of Lindsey Graham, our senior center here in South Carolina. I'm sure you saw over the weekend, passed away. I guess it was late Saturday night, Josh, early Sunday morning. Have they?
I believe it was like 2:30 in the morning on Sunday, and I'm not sure. I heard you break off in the middle of a word, Chris. I'm not sure if you're there or not, but broke the news 2:30 in the morning on Sunday, and some I don't know the exact cause of death, but it was cardiovascular, I believe. You back now?
I am. I'm
okay.
sorry.
Yeah, you're fine.
So, yeah, sad news for sure. A guy who served the United States and our state for a long, long time, and it appears that we're going to have an election to fill his spot in the general election. I guess we'll have a special election in August.
That's August 11th. Yeah, it's a special primary. So we'll see what we have.
But didn't want to pass along our condolences and thoughts and prayers to the family of Lindsey Graham for sure. All right, some of the other news notes aside from that, I happened to run across this late last week. I don't know how we missed it. I think it came out on either Thursday or Friday, but Josh, RotoWire.com has come up with its top 20 most hated college coaches in college football for this upcoming season.
Okay, let's hear it, because I'm.
You haven't seen it, I'm sure.
I have not seen it, no.
Okay. Would you like to take a guess as to who is number 1 on the list?
Lane Kiffin.
Something else we can ask Chris Blair about here in a couple of moments. Yes, Lane Kiffin, the new head coach at LSU, is the most hated coach in college football, just ahead of Deion Sanders.
Huh.
I don't get that. I'm not sure I understand that kind of hatred for Deion. I mean, I understand his bravado, but he seems like a pretty good dude outside of his bravado. And I think the problem is you ran into is this probably dates back a couple of seasons when he first took over at Colorado and ran pretty much the entire team off because he told them they basically weren't good enough to play for him. And so maybe that's still lingering, but I just don't see Deion Sanders as one of the, certainly not the number 2 most hated coach in college football. Maybe he was one of the most hated players in the NFL because of his bravado, but I mean, it's not like Colorado is threatening anybody to win a national championship right now.
Certainly not this year.
No. Number 3 is Dabo Sweeney.
What?
Dabo Sweeney checks in at number 3. And
that shocks me. That shocks me.
Yeah, and I'm thinking a lot of this is because Dabo loves to get up on his soapbox and preach the way he does things at Clemson. I've never faulted him for this. I've always respected him for the way he has a way of doing things, and you're not going to tell him that his way doesn't work because he's got a decade plus of proof that it does. But I think that rubs people the wrong way. But also, I think a couple of national championships makes you sort of envious. I mean, Dabo's the only one in the top 3 at the collegiate level that's got a national championship, and he's got 2 of them. So, but I'm really surprised he's ahead of some of the other guys that are on the list. Lincoln Riley at Southern Cal, I don't quite get at all. I don't see why anybody really has a whole lot of one way or the other. I don't see how your pulse moves one way or the other about Lincoln Riley. Ryan Day at number 5 at Ohio State. This is purely jealousy. Just from the standpoint, he's won a national championship and his team always is in contention. I think it's professional jealousy that people just don't like him because, and I'm sure a lot of this is Michigan fans.
I would have said Bill Belichick in the top 5.
Belichick is in the top 10.
Okay.
We'll get to him in just a second. Kirby Smart, number 6. This one, finally, I get to one that you can understand why people just do not like this guy. The way he runs his program, ignores all the issues outside the program, never wants to correct anything. And as long as the guys show up, play well, and win on Saturdays, that's all he cares about. Plus, he also wins. So you get that. Mario Cristobal, number 7 at Miami. Then you have Kurt Signetti at number 8, who would have not been on this list at all, I don't think, until he wins the national championship last year at Indiana. Belichick was 9th, and then Joey McGuire is 10th, and I believe it's probably everything it has to do with the fact he had defended as long as he could Brendan Sorsby before they finally had to run him off and say we can't handle it anymore. But that's RotoWire. You check that out. The 20 most hated coaches in college football.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster has appointed the late Lindsey Graham's sister Darlene Nordone to his Senate seat for the remainder of his term. Graham died suddenly Saturday at the age of 71. Darlene Graham Nordone said it'll be an honor to fill the rest of her brother's Senate term.
I think this is what Lindsey would have wanted, and I plan to honor him in this way. Now to Lindsey, I miss you more than I can even put into words, but I'm going to do this. I got it.
A special election next month will determine the new Republican nominee for Graham's seat. The open seat has sparked interest among South Carolina's conservatives. A special primary election is scheduled for August 11th, with a runoff on August 25th if needed. President Trump says he's sending a clear message to Iran, Willie Nelson reports.
During an interview with Hugh Hewitt on the Salem Radio Network, President Trump discussed planned military action against Iran.
As an example, we're going to hit them very hard tonight, and we're going to hit them hard tomorrow. And they have nothing. They have nothing going other than they have big mouths.
The comments come as the administration keeps pressure on the Iranian regime. Willie Nelson, the White House.
The heat is back on across the country through Thursday. Meteorologist Joe Wegman of the National Weather Service says a heat wave should be taken seriously.
These levels of extreme heat can impact anybody from the healthy to the infirm. And also to remind folks to please never leave children or animals unattended in vehicles during this hot weather, as heat stroke is a very real problem.
On Wall Street, the Dow down by 138 points, the Nasdaq dropped 408, the S&P declined 60. More at townhall.com.
You've probably heard all those ads for life insurance. Just a few dollars a day, apply online in minutes, no medical exam. Simple, easy, and cheap, right? Now you're thinking, maybe I should get a quote. Well, smart thinking. Everyone should have life insurance. But here's what they don't tell you. Those few dollars a day rates, they're for young people in perfect health. That's why everyone calls Big Lou the 50 to 60-year-old not-so-perfect candidate, like you. You take prescription meds and you're overweight. Winner, winner, fried chicken dinner. Well, Big Lou works with life insurance companies that want people like you with no surprises after you apply. In fact, if you're a 50-year-old guy with a few health glitches, Lou could probably find you $1 million of term life coverage for about $200 a month. So yeah, you need life insurance. But unless you're young and healthy, you gotta call Big Lou because he's like you, older, heavier, and on meds too. Get a quote right now at 800-555-2085. 800-555-2085 or biglou.com.
A deal to create a media juggernaut is being challenged in a major lawsuit.
12 states challenged Paramount's takeover of Warner Brothers Discovery on Monday, filing a lawsuit that argues the $81 billion mega merger would, quote, extinguish competition in Hollywood and threaten jobs across the industry. The Office of California's Attorney General, who is leading that coalition, alleged the proposed merger would lead to higher prices, lower quality, and less content for film and television. Bob Agnew reporting.
Sam Neill, the elegant and versatile actor who moved from art films to blockbusters like Jurassic Park and The Hunt for Red October, has died at the age of 78. He said he had a rare type of lymphoma in 2023. His family said he was cancer-free when he died Monday, but the statement didn't give a cause. News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Showers possible, ending around midnight. The low is 71. Tomorrow, we'll have more clouds than sunshine to go with a 40% chance for showers. The high still a mild 85. We're warmer on Wednesday, high back up to 91. And it's the mid-90s for Thursday and Friday with the skies clearing out. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com. The Point.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Oh, yeah, right in the middle of talking season. It gets officially rolling here tonight on Sports Talk Media Network all across the state of South Carolina, live on affiliates from the upstate all the way to the low country. And you can also listen live worldwide at SportsTalkSC.com. Do not forget, we will be up at Clemson tomorrow for their local media day. Looking forward to that. We'll hear from Dabo Sweeney before the Tigers head up to ACC Media Days at Uptown Charlotte, and that's where Matt Smith will be the rest of the week. He'll join us tomorrow for a little while here on the program to give his thoughts in a preview, and then we'll have live coverage for you. They will be on the ground. Also, we'll hear from Coach a couple of times this week. The first team that the Tigers must face, of course, is the LSU Tigers. And kind enough to join us as we kick off hour number 2 is a young man who actually cut his teeth here in the state of South Carolina, got tired of so much winning at Greenwood High School. He decided to move out and watch LSU play. And joining us now, a good friend of the program, the longtime play-by-play voice of the Louisiana State Tigers. We say hello to Chris Blair on the phone lines this evening. Chris, good evening, sir, and welcome back to the Palmetto State.
No, thank you, Chris. Nice to be back with you and everybody in South Carolina. You're right. We're right in the heart of talking season, and I know SEC Media Days are coming up soon over in Florida, and that kind of is the weather vein, if you will. Once Media Days, they close the book on that. It is a quick downhill sprint to kickoff. For LSU, it'll be September 5th at Death Valley with Clemson and LSU. Should be a great one.
So looking forward to that for sure. That's going to be one of the highlight games of the opening weekend. So speaking of talking season, we have to start here. What has it been like, the Lane Kiffin experience thus far in Baton Rouge?
Well, it's been exciting. I mean, it's it's interesting. I was talking to somebody earlier up in the northern part of Louisiana a couple of weeks ago, and they made a very interesting comment in the sense that LSU 2025 football didn't make the playoffs, didn't really sniff the playoffs, and yet building up towards the championship game this year with Indiana eventually winning it all. I could argue that one of the biggest stories in college football throughout that playoff run was Lane Kiffin and LSU. That seemed to be what everybody was talking about for whatever reason, good, bad, or otherwise. And similar with basketball in the middle of March Madness, everybody's talking about Will Wade and LSU. But when it comes to Coach Kiffin, the excitement, I've talked to you guys last year going into the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, LSU's not unlike many schools in the Power Four where, the standard is awfully high. And spring hopes eternal every year that this is going to be, the year. But you add Lane Kiffin to the mix, where, LSU struggled the last 3 to 4 seasons offensively. They certainly had their troubles defensively as well, but they just had not had that firepower that, of course, everybody was accustomed to during that magical 2019 season. Now, we'll have to wait and see how quickly Lane Kiffin gets the LSU offense to that type of operation, but that's the sense you get. And again, they've gone to work. I mean, it's been a busy staff. Since they got on the ground here in Baton Rouge, you've consistently seen how both in the transfer portal, obviously with a lot of cash, they're flux with a lot of cash, and it shows. But high school recruiting and when you take a look at the portal, I mean, you suddenly start to see LSU creeping ever so close to the top of the rankings for those people who follow that. I personally don't. But I know it's a cottage industry. And again, that just goes to the work that Coach Kiffin and Coach Weiss, the offensive coordinator, Blake Baker, who was held over as the defensive coordinator. I mean, they have done a tremendous job in really rebuilding LSU's team top to bottom. And we're, a little over, 54 days away from finding out what it looks like.
Chris, a little more on Lane Kiffin in just a second, but you brought up the 2019 LSU team. You had the privilege of watching every single game with that squad. Have you seen anything before or since that rivals what they were able to put out, especially with the weapons they had on offense?
I try to avoid getting into those debates, Chris, as you well know, because trying to compare one team or one offense to another, there's been some great offenses. I usually go with the line of it was one of the most dynamic and potent offenses the sport has ever seen. And I feel comfortable saying that. But a lot of it had to do with, again, Joe Burrow being Joe Burrow, and the cast of characters around him. And I'm not taking anything away from Joe Burrow, but, every snap he had multiple options to go to, which then gave the offensive coordinators and the coaching staff so many options. It's kind of like the old tic-tac-toe game. When you get your opponent where there's no way out, they got you both ways. That's kind of the way it felt with that team because they could run the ball with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He could come out of the backfield, catch a pass. They had a very active tight end. They had a plethora of receivers, and they had Joe Burrow. And I still argue that he was the best I ever saw pre-snap in reading the defense. And they had that much confidence in him to pre-read and pre-snap read that defense and then switch out of plays if he felt. But again, when you've got a ton of options at your disposal, whatever the defense wanted to take away, LSU could always find something else. And I think that culminated, if you go back and watch the Clemson-LSU national championship game, I remember thinking when Clemson had the lead early, they had really, it felt like, dominated that game, Chris, in the first quarter and a little bit into the second quarter, and yet they only had a slight lead. And then when Burrow hit Jamar down the right sideline at the Superdome for the big touchdown, that was pretty much it, game over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that would be my always check go-to. Let's just throw the ball to Jamar Chase and see what he can do. Hey, that seemed like a pretty good option.
Yeah.
Chris Blair, the voice of the LSU Tigers, with us here tonight on Sports Talk. Looking forward to SEC Media Days. And then, of course, the matchup between the Tigers and Tigers coming up in early September. One other thought on Lane Kiffin. You've, I'm sure, had some opportunities to sit down and visit with him. Anything that we know the national narrative about him, but in private conversations, does he meet that national narrative, or is he an entirely different person?
No, he's an entirely different person. He's pretty shy, to be honest with you. I mean, again, when he has something he wants to say, he has no problem saying it, but he's not somebody that takes up all the oxygen in the room. He's a guy that keeps his thoughts very close. Again, has a high-level offensive mind. And I have found that, typically in human interaction with him, he doesn't really want to just sit and talk X's and O's. I mean, that's what he does for a living. He likes to talk about other things, which is obvious when you take a look at his social channels. He's got interests beyond just football, and sometimes people get rubbed the wrong way. But, he's a guy that just goes about doing his business. He has now, I think, matured. He's talked about that multiple times. It makes decisions, thinks about them a little bit more. But I find him a joy to be around. And again, when you talk to people who work with him, they will lead with, there's nobody knows offense better than he does. There's just nobody does. And a lot of times they give him credit for that because of his father being such a great defensive mind. And so you have to imagine that growing up under Monty Kiffin, talking defense all the time, Elaine was able to take that information and go, okay, here's what the defense wants to do. Here's how they're going to line it up to do it. Here's how you beat it. And so I think that's how he's kind of grown into the role that he has, because when you talk to the guys in Oxford, and I know not many of them will because I know they're angry with him, but the people who don't hold a grudge against him say, look, dude's a flat-out genius when it comes to drawing up offense. And I think, with he at the helm and Charlie Weiss Jr., who's also a great offensive mind in his own right, who also has a family lineage of pretty good offense, I think the two of them together, for as long as we can keep him at LSU, I just don't think offense is going to be a problem with the Tigers. They've always been able to get great athletes. Now put them in position to make plays, and I think we've got two of the best minds in college football to do that. So we'll have to wait and see.
All right, let's talk about the team for a few moments. About 60 newcomers, which is sort of the case when you have a coaching change, brand new coaching staff. Does it start and end with Sam Leavitt and how quickly he can assimilate himself to everybody else in the offense?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, I tend to not want to put all that type of pressure typically on quarterbacks. I know they get all the praise and they get all the criticism depending on how things go. But let's face it, it's a very important piece of the modern college football offense, and the fact that he can allow Lane to do the things that Lane likes to do. One of the big misnomers that I learned, calling games against Lane Kiffin when he was both at Alabama and then the head coach at Ole Miss, was everybody thinks he loves to throw the football, and everybody knows the big home run strike down the seam where the clipboard goes flying in the air and he calls touchdown before the guy crosses the goal line. But it's really an offense that wants to run the football. And so, again, Sam Leavitt has the skill set. Again, I know coming off of injury, but when you take a look at his film at Arizona State 2 years ago, you quickly start to put together, wow, it's going to give a lot of defensive coordinators a lot of things to have to think about every time Leavitt's behind center, just with his skill set. So if he's 100% healthy, it's going to open up that playbook. And even though you've got a number of new guys, as you mentioned, newcomers out of the portal, as well as some young players they're going to rely on, the fact that you've got that much capability with one guy under center or behind center, so to speak, I think is a good thing for LSU. Their offensive line certainly has struggled since that 2019 team. So we're talking easily 7 years since there's been a real solid offensive line that had the ability to line up and run as well as pass block. But there are a couple of holdovers that they're happy with, brought in a couple of others to try to stiffen that front line up. But I think it starts with Sam Leavitt. The receiving room, there's going to be some new names. LSU has put a ton of guys into the league over the last 5-8 years at wide receiver. So there's going to be some new guys there, but you got a returning tight end, Trades Green, who is kind of a freak in nature. He's a defensive coordinator's nightmare. He's listed as a tight end. He really was an oversized wide receiver in high school. He's a great Power 4 basketball player. Started his career at LSU playing both sports, now focusing on football. I mean, I don't know who you put him on. So you've got Trey coming back, and then you've got 2 running backs that have experience that have stayed here at LSU. So there is some new, but I think the new combined with some of the returners, I think is why LSU's probably getting a lot of praise going into the season. But again, it's talking season. We'll find out what it looks like when boot meets ball.
Chris Blair, the voice of the LSU Tigers, with us here tonight. Of course, LSU and Clemson open up the brand new season. And speaking of the Clemson Tigers, Chris, there appears to be some quiet confidence coming out of the upstate about what Dabo Swinney has been able to do with now that he's started to dip his toe into the transfer portal, especially defensively. He's confident in Christopher Vizina. We'll see if that actually materializes at quarterback out on the field. What are the LSU fans and you folks that are starting to look at Clemson? What are you seeing from the Tigers, and what areas do you feel like that they might be able to exploit against LSU in a couple of weeks?
Well, last year on your show, I mentioned the fact that the opening game in Clemson between these 2 schools was going to be a major, major opening game of the season for both head coaches and both programs. And as it turned out, Dabo Swinney was able to hold on to his job, although certainly not the season they wanted. And at LSU, they made a change. I think the dynamic's a little different this year, obviously. Lane Kiffin's in year number 1. The honeymoon is far from over, and I don't think it's going to end in game 1. Coach Kiffin's been very clear about, hey, guys, we know where we're going, but I can't tell you that we're there already. For Clemson, I think there's 2 things about it, Chris. One is I think this is kind of a do-or-die season. They were very let down. I've got a lot of good Clemson friends. I worked at Clemson for 5 seasons, so I still know people there, and they kind of felt like that was a disappointing year. But what I'll say, and I think LSU fans are picking up on it, last year at this time, there was a lot of talk on social media, Clemson versus LSU, Death Valley versus Death Valley. I'd be a little concerned because Clemson seems to be a little quieter this season. And I'm not saying that's a good or bad thing. I think they understand the importance of not just this first game, but this season. And I think the fact that they're not quite relying simply on what they did 7 years ago or 8 years ago or 9 years ago. I think they're focused on what they're doing right now. And I'm not saying they were guilty of that in the past. I'm just saying I've paid attention to it's more about let's go out and work. Let's let everybody else do the talking. And for me, I think that's some of the things I've heard from LSU fans that it's been awfully quiet, certainly compared to this time last year.
All right, let's turn our focus to next week. Of course, the ACC will have its car wash media days going on this week. But as you look ahead to SEC media days, taking sort of LSU out of the equation, Chris, what do you see as maybe 2 or 3 of the top storylines that most of the media will focus on down in Tampa?
Well, I'm sure Lane Kiffin's going to be at the top of the order. Pete Golden probably will be in the mix as well. There'll be a
so you can't take LSU out of the mix then. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be when is Lane in the building? Where is Pete Golden? Which day are they on? Do they cross paths? I mean, I think that's going to be a big storyline, but not to be all purple and gold focused. I think there's going to be a lot of interest in what the story and narrative is from Alabama and Coach DeBoer going into this year. Certainly, I think South Carolina, with what I would consider a major overhaul outside of your head coach being let go, I think they've made some major changes, obviously, there. So I think that's going to be a big storyline as to what moves they can make here in 2026. Florida, I mean, again, there's so many new coaches, new coordinators, that I think there's a storyline for every single day of SEC Media Day. And goodness knows, every year it seems to be that way. But I think that's kind of where it's going to be. I think it'll be a little more difficult for my friends in the media to simply, handpick the order of finish in the SEC. I think there may be, and I know it gets used a lot, but I think there actually may be a little more parity in the league for 2026. I mean, Ole Miss thinks they've got it humming. They think they're going to pick up right where they left off. We'll find out if that's true. Obviously Texas A&M and the job they've done, they're going to certainly have a lot to say over the course of media days. And as I said, everybody's going to be focused on what is the demeanor of Kalen DeBoer? How did he look? How did he sound? What did he say? So I don't know that it's going to be any different from any previous SEC media days, but to me, those are kind of the storylines that I think most people are looking for.
Brought up an interesting team in Texas A&M, since you guys, get to see them and a little bit closer to their campus than we are out here. What do you think of the job Mike Elko has done, and how good do you think the Aggies can be this year?
Well, I think I said when they hired Mike Elko, I had some friends who worked for Mike in the past at both Notre Dame and at Duke. And when they hired him, I thought they might have finally gotten it right. I mean, look, Texas A&M prints money over there. That's no secret.
Very true.
But yet they've not been able to really translate that into a lot of success at the national level in any sport. And that's not a dig at them. It's just kind of a head scratcher. If money equates to success, and I'm not sure if that's true, but that's what a lot of people subscribe to, what's the issue? I think Mike Elko he's kind of the pack a lunch. We're going to work. I don't need new shoes every day for practice. I mean, he's just let's go get it done. And I think that's kind of the MO that the football team has taken. They still have a few steps to go. We'll see how many steps they've taken in the off season. But with Mike Elko at Texas A&M, I think they're going to be a tough out as long as he's there.
Chris, if you don't mind, I do want to hold you for a couple of more moments because I can't have you on and not explore the Will Wade return to LSU. It's been fascinating to watch from the outside. How did all of this shake out, and were you even surprised that LSU would try and bring him back?
It's not. I mean, I told close friends of mine, for the last 2 to 3 years, I've stayed in touch with Coach Wade. He and I became friends when he was here at LSU. I followed him when he was at McNeese, and certainly talked to him and congratulated him when he made his way to Raleigh, because I just didn't believe it was going to take a long time before somebody in the Power Four wanted to get back to winning. And love him or hate him, Will Wade, wherever he's been, he's been a winner. But what I would say is that it was I've been involved now in college athletics for almost 30 years, been through a lot of coaching changes in all sports. This one was unique in the sense it never felt like the majority of LSU fans liked the decision to let him go. And there was always this thing in the back of my mind that you never really hear it often, but if there's ever an opportunity for a guy to be fired, go away, and come back to the same school, it kind of felt like it was going to happen. I didn't know when, didn't know how long it would be, didn't know if Will Wade would even want to come back. But the fact that he had so many friends, including myself, that he kept in touch with, and still had interest in how LSU was doing as a school and as a program, it really didn't surprise me at all. Once things didn't work out with Coach McMahon, who I love, who I think is going to land on his feet and be just fine, it was kind of a no-brainer. That's what they're going to do. Did I think it would happen after 1 year of NC State? I'd be lying if I said yes. But surprising, no, not at all.
I guess it's the same question we could ask you with Lane Kiffin. And I think it might even be quicker. How much longer do you think it'll be before he gets LSU men's basketball turned back around?
Not long. I mean, again, you've read the headlines. LSU did not create recruiting international players. That's false, not true. I called 2018 or so SEC games last year, and virtually every one of them had an international player who had some professional experience in some form or fashion. And I'm not getting involved with the legality or the NCAA regulations. What I know is until they close the loophole that's obviously open, it's there to be done. And these coaches are hired, and they're not hired to be, I know this may not be popular, they're not hired to be the nicest guy in the town. They're hired to win. And if you're trying to come in year one and go from the bottom of the SEC to competing near the top, and they're allowing you to find these players that want to come play, well, until they stop that, LSU's not going to be the only school to do it. So, having said that, I don't think it'll take very long. I don't know what the record will be this year. He's playing a pretty aggressive schedule, both in conference as well as out of conference. But I don't think it'll take long. I mean, he's got a system, and as he told me, we sat down for an interview a couple of weeks ago. He said, Chris, I feel like we could take our program anywhere, just about anywhere, and win. But I want to be somewhere where I'm with the people that care about me and people that I care about, because it makes winning more enjoyable when you do that. That's why I'm back at LSU. So he's going to do whatever it takes to get to the top. And, you know, he hired an assistant staff with 100-plus years of combined college basketball experience, including 3 former Power 4 division coaches. So he's looking to win quickly.
Got about 2 minutes. What happened with baseball, and how is Jay Johnson trying to not repeat what was, for LSU standards, just a really, really dismal season?
Oh, I'll be shocked if he repeats this season again. I joke with Coach Johnson all the time that when Nick Saban was at LSU and then on at Alabama, he had way more hobbies than Jay Johnson has. Jay does nothing but, from the time his feet hit the floor to his head hits the pillow, of making LSU baseball better. His vacations are around recruiting. He doesn't fish. He doesn't golf. He doesn't go to movies. It's baseball 24/7. And to answer your question exactly, they missed on the transfer portal last year. In 23 and in 24, or rather 23 and 25, they came up smelling like roses with the transfer portal. This year, on paper, the guys they brought in looked like they could pick right back up. As it turned out, they may not have been ready for SEC baseball. The good news is, now that the MLB draft is over, there is a boatload of players who have opted out of the draft that are going to come to college, and they're coming to LSU. On top of the fact that, you know, the rest of these coaches enjoyed the NCAA tournament. LSU missed it for the first time in forever. But Jay Johnson spent all of June and all of July and will continue all through August until fall ball begins, getting the best players in the country. So based on what I know the roster looks like now for 2027, I think 2027, 2026 is simply just an abnormal anomaly. I just don't think it's going to happen again. They'll be right there at the top when we get started in February.
So his hobby is BP, huh?
That's it. I asked him what he did on his birthday. He said, I watched Vanderbilt film. Get ready for the Vanderbilt series. I said, oh, that sounds like a blast.
Doesn't it? Chris Blair, this is why we love having him on. It's so great to catch back up with you, my friend. Well, welcome back to South Carolina. You're always welcome here. You know that. Enjoy talking season, and we'll look forward to LSU and Clemson in early September.
You got it, Chris. Tell Phil I said hello.
You got it, pal. That's Chris Blair, voice of the LSU Tigers.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Showers possible, ending around midnight. The low is 71. Tomorrow, we'll have more clouds than sunshine to go with a 40% chance for showers. The high still a mild 85. We're warmer on Wednesday, high back up to 91. And it's the mid-90s for Thursday and Friday with the skies clearing out. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Summer's not slowing down, and neither are we. The summer clearance sale is live at Palmetto State Armory. Come in today and find great deals on clearance clothing items, plus closeout pricing on fishing rods, reels, and tackle. Incredible savings from brands you love while supplies last. And right now, buy any lower parts kit, get $10 off a strip lower. The summer clearance sale runs July 13th through the 30th, only at your local Palmetto State Armory.
Safe pass. With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster has named Darlene Graham Nardone as her late brother Lindsey Graham's temporary replacement in the U.S. Senate. Graham died at age 71 over the weekend. Nardone will serve the remaining months of his term, which ends in January. A special election next month will determine the new Republican nominee for Graham's seat. The U.S. has announced a new round of strikes on Iran hours after President Trump said the United States is reinstating a blockade on Iran in the Strait of Hormuz, and in a seeming policy reversal, will charge other ships for safe passage. Iran has insisted it controls the waterway. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 138 points, the Nasdaq dropped 408. More details at srnnews.com.
Are you tired of that dripping faucet driving you crazy? Is your drain doing more of a gurgle than a flow? Don't despair. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is here to save your day. Serving our community as locally owned plumbing experts, Franklin Plumbing tackles everything from minor leaks to major clogs. And we're talking fast, friendly, reliable service. They respect your home. They respect your wallet. Josh and his team offer upfront pricing, and that's important. This team I'm talking about, they're fully licensed. They're insured technicians. They're ready for any plumbing crisis that you might encounter. Whether it's routine maintenance, a stubborn blockage, or a total plumbing overhaul, they'll get the job done right the first time. They've been out to my home, my brother's home, even his business. I'm comfortable, very comfortable, bragging on Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. Stop letting plumbing problems disrupt your life. Call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning today and experience the difference that true expertise makes. Visit their website, franklinplumbing.sc.com, or give them a call, 799-2222. That's 799-2222. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning.
Discover the seamless blend of comfort and style with Lexington Discount Homes. With over 30 years of excellence in the housing industry, our focus is on delivering your dream home with unparalleled customer service. Explore a variety of designs tailored to meet any preference and budget. Drop by our showroom at 1847 Augusta Highway to witness the craftsmanship of a Lexington home firsthand, or explore online through a comprehensive virtual tour at LexingtonDiscountHomes.com. Choose comfort, choose style, choose Lexington Discount Homes.
When you think of family, you think of hugs and lots of love. That's what your loved one will find when they move to Oakley Village for assisted living or memory care. You can rest assured your family members will participate in engaging activities, have exceptional care, and all their needs met. You gain peace of mind that comes from family taking care of family. Call Oakley Village today at 803-969-8168 and see how you too can join a community that feels like family. Or you can reach us online at oakleyvillagelexington.com.
As a business owner, you want your customers to have the best experience possible, and that includes convenient parking. If you have designated parking spaces or an entire lot, Schroeder's Towing can provide free signage and installation for businesses to deter unwanted parking and removal of abandoned vehicles. Contact Schroeder's Towing and ask about free signage for your spaces or lot. Take back your parking. 803-772-7930 and SchroedersTowing.com.
Schroeder's Towing, Columbia's finest and fastest hookers in town.
South Carolina summers are hot and humid and hard on your air conditioner. When your home stops feeling comfortable, call Sweet Comfort Services. We're family owned and operated with over 30 years of heating and air experience. From service and maintenance to complete system replacement, we're here to keep your family cool. We'll even meet or beat any quote from a licensed competitor. Schedule your appointment online at sweethvac.com or call 803-331-8143. Sweet Comfort Services, comfort you can count on.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
Well, the past couple of Monday nights, we've caught up with Zach Willis for a little 1st and 10 preseason style. Couldn't catch up with Coach tonight, so we're going to slide in a little 1st and 10 recruiting style. Brought to you by our good friends over at Seawell's. They've been doing the catering thing for a long, long time. When you do it as long as they have, you have perfected it. So check them out. You've still got wedding plans. We're getting ever closer to a tailgating season. Not just talking season, but tailgating season. You need the best in the catering business. You check out Seawell's. Log on to SeawellsCateringSC.com for all the details. Or check them out and what is coming up there. Brand new location. Josh, do we know? I'm not sure if Phil's ever mentioned. Do we know when they're going to be moving in to their new place?
I think they're moving, like they're starting the moving process. I don't know if they've actually moved yet, though. I don't even know that Phil was supposed to release the information that they were moving. Because I talked to the mayor of Columbia last week or a couple weeks ago, and he didn't even know they were moving.
Wow.
So
see, that's big.
Yeah.
Not quite as big as us breaking down the news that they had discontinued the daily luncheon buffet, which was devastating to the entire state. I mean, that left a hole that will take a long time to heal. But nonetheless, yeah, if you want the best in the catering, we know for a fact It's Seawells. Check them out whenever you need their services. All right, in recruiting, Clemson turned the tables on the Gamecocks, winning the battle for defensive tackle Seth Tillman late last week, the 6'3", 256-pounder out of South Point. Of course, the Gamecocks have done a really nice job over the years in Football City recruiting South Point players, but with Nick Eason doing the heavy lifting, the Tigers overcame what appeared to be an early USC advantage to get the pledge. Clemson wants me at the 3 Tech to an end. Tillman said during the recruiting process, I can play both of the positions, and they like my speed, hand movements, quickness, and strength. Tillman also had Georgia, Michigan, and Kentucky in his final 5. Some of his other offers included LSU, North Carolina, Texas A&M, Georgia Tech, Syracuse, Maryland, Virginia Tech, NC State, Arkansas, Nebraska, Florida State, Tennessee, and Florida. He made officials, though, to USC, Clemson, Georgia, and Michigan. He also, emerged as a major prospect during his junior season. He had 61 tackles with 27 for loss and 8.5 sacks. Tigers now have 25 commitments for the 2027 class and the second at defensive tackle. He also gives the Tigers 4 commitments from in-state prospects. Safety Giovanni Tuggle of Winder, Georgia, has Clemson in his current final 5. The others are Alabama, Ole Miss, Florida State, and Tennessee. Offensive lineman Mike Westerfeld of Roswell, Georgia, who was offered by USC and visited unofficially in April, has committed to Georgia. One-time South Carolina target safety Kennedy Green of Douglasville, Georgia, recommitted to Mississippi State over the weekend. Meantime, one-time South Carolina target linebacker Mekhi Allen of Ramsey, New Jersey, committed to Texas A&M. South Carolina and Clemson target offensive lineman Brendan Hall of Charlotte has been offered by Georgia Tech. Offensive lineman Nyron Ford of Dutch Fort committed to East Tennessee State. Great collegiate offensive lineman Jake Armstrong, 6'2", 270, has committed to the
Bergie. The fun of not
State.
Oh, there he is. You back now?
I'm sorry.
You're good.
Did you miss me?
I did. I missed you.
Where did I leave off?
Jake Armstrong. Is that a name on there?
Okay. Yes. Let's see. Jack Armstrong committed to the Citadel. He's the son of former USC defensive lineman Mike Armstrong. So, yeah, wasn't going long. 2029 wide receiver Corey Miller of Dutch Fork added offers from Oklahoma, Michigan, and Appalachian State to push his total to a near 50. Near 40. He'll probably get to 50 before his recruitment is over. And this young man is obviously a high priority for a lot of teams. The baseball draft ended last night, and Clemson had 2 of its signees selected. Right-handed pitcher Blake Bryant was taken with the 31st pick by Arizona. That carries a pick value of $3.12 million. And Ethan Offing was chosen in the 18th round by the Red Sox. None of South Carolina's 3 high school signees were drafted, but 4 of their free agent signings were. Left-handed pitcher Will Whelan went in the 13th round to Texas. Right-hander Michael Heggis was taken in the 14th round by Baltimore. Right-hander Ethan Sutton went in the 16th round to the Dodgers, and shortstop Connor Schaus lasted until the 20th round when the Mariners chose him. As we mentioned earlier when we were talking about the MLB draft, it appears from the insiders that Connor Schaus is going to stick with his transfer commitment to the Gamecocks, though he did say he was excited about the opportunity with the Mariners on social media. So we shall see. Folks, the teams have 2 more weeks to sign their draftees. After not being selected in the first 9 rounds of the draft, South Carolina signee catcher Elaine Gomez-Gudino posted on Instagram what appears to be his intention to enroll in school. That may have killed any remaining interest from the teams that may have drafted him because he was not picked, despite his status as one of the top catching products in the high school class. And that is recruiting tonight, presented here by Sports Talk. And back to the catcher for just a second. I found this just fascinating stuff. I was watching an interview, Josh, that Jamie Bradford
of Chief Sports, Gamecock, BigSpur.com.
Well, several weeks ago, this was when Coach. I'm sorry?
We lost you again. Sorry.
Oh, my goodness. I'm trying to limp to the end of the program here in the super secret upstate layer. I was saying that the comments from Gomez Godino, the catcher that it looks like is going to end up at South Carolina out of Arizona. Jamie was talking with Monty Lee when he was still an assistant coach with the Gamecocks before he moved on, obviously now down back to the College of Charleston here during the offseason. But some of the things, and I really recommend it, and again, it's up on Chief Sports app where, of course, you can listen to Sports Talk. I thought it was a fascinating interview because they talked about this is a young man who is from Venezuela and evidently tried to walk his way, he and his family, to try and get to the United States and find a way to better their lives. They actually made it to Mexico City, I believe it was, before they ended up in Arizona, and just talked about the trials and tribulations. It's a fascinating story of perseverance, and they lost so many things, Josh, but the one thing that Elaine did not lose on his way from Venezuela, if I'm not mistaken, all the way here to Arizona, now what it looks like to Colombia, he made sure he always kept his catcher's mitt with him.
That's an important thing. You got to have that
no
to practice and play baseball.
There's no doubt. That's a young man that is dedicated to the game and obviously wanted to better his life. But Monty Lee said flat out he believes he's the best catcher in the country. He said he's a switch hitter and really has good power from both sides of the plate. So I think the Gamecocks, if they can get him in, and it looks like they're going to, have added certainly a nice piece to the puzzle for Kevin Snall. You got to tip your cap to the job that Coach Snall and his staff did in a relatively short period of time of retooling that entire roster at USC, because as we saw, if you're basing it just off the draft, you'll understand why South Carolina was not a very good baseball team this past season. They just didn't have any talent. I'm not so sure that's the case anymore. I think they have retooled it and got a nice looking squad going into next year, assuming that they can get all the guys into school. And again, they've got 2 weeks for anybody who was drafted to sign with their major league clubs. All right, 888-898-2525. If you'd like to join us, we certainly have time to squeeze in a phone call or two before we hit the top of the hour. And don't forget, tomorrow we'll be over at Clemson for the Clemson media outing. And then Smitty will be on the ground at Uptown Charlotte the rest of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for ACC Media Days. When Phil gets back from vacation, we're sending him straight to Tampa for SEC Media Days. All right, we will take a time out when we come back. If there are some, we'll squeeze in a few phone calls and get into your text messages as well at 803-900-4847. Of course, got the home run derby tonight and the Major League All-Star game tomorrow night, so no baseball here the next couple of days as the teams are enjoying a brief All-Star break before getting back to work on Thursday. Hit some other news notes and start to wind things down on this Monday evening edition of Sports Talk after this on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Hi, I'm attorney Jim Corbett. For over 35 years, I've been making claims, litigating cases, and mediating cases. Quick checks from a car wreck are usually lowball offers. What happens 5 or more years from now when you didn't get the treatment or compensation you needed? Call me, Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Corbett with an E, and the initial consultation is free. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968.
Looking for a new car? You need to think about a Kia. If you're in the market for an SUV, consider the new Kia Telluride or the new Kia Sorento. They're big, they're strong, and loaded with tech for thousands less than Honda or Toyota. You'll see the difference right away, and you get double the warranty. Plus, you get the JT's Advantage million-mile warranty and about 1,000 other things you have to see to believe.
If you want the biggest bang for your buck, it's time to think about a new JT's Kia. We're serious about saving you money.
If you want to reach sports fans, there's no better place than the Sports Talk Media Network. We give your business exposure on over 20 radio affiliates across South Carolina, plus online at SportsTalkSC.com and on our growing social media platforms. That means radio, digital, and social, all working together for your brand. Our audience is loyal, engaged, and they trust what they hear from us. We partner with local businesses, regional brands, and anyone who wants to connect with real sports fans. From live reads and sponsorships to digital advertising, we'll build a custom campaign to fit your goals and budget. Ready to advertise with Sports Talk Media Network? Visit sportstalksc.com/sales-contact. That's sportstalksc.com/sales-contact. Sports Talk Media Network, advertising that reaches sports fans.
Effective training is not just about lifting heavier weight. It is about producing force with control. The Tsunami Bar was developed in 2012 to enhance high-intensity workouts while helping reduce joint stress. Its flexible design creates controlled oscillation, requiring your muscles to stabilize and work together throughout each movement. This promotes greater muscle activation, improved balance, and stronger functional performance. Tsunami Bar Sports is committed to continuous improvement, delivering dynamic training tools for individuals at every fitness level. Whether you are focused on long-term strength, injury prevention, or improving rotational stability for sports like golf, Tsunami Bar training supports total body performance. Discover more at TsunamiBarSports.com. Visit TsunamiBarSports.com. That's TsunamiBarSports.com.
This is Major Billy Downer with the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Boating season is here, and as you get ready to go out on the water this spring and summer, make sure you have all the required safety equipment on board. Check for a sound device. A horn or whistle will suffice for most boats. Inspect all of your life jackets. Make sure they're in good condition and are the correct size for all of your passengers. If your boat is over 16 feet, you will need to make sure you have an approved throwable device on board as well. Remember, boating safety is no accident.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
We are Sports Talk Media Network on a Monday night all across the state of South Carolina. If you missed any part of the show, don't forget we'll have it back up for you in just a little bit, up in podcast form. If you missed the interview with Bob Moran of BMOC Sports and Entertainment about the upcoming Citadel to that, plus our conversation with Chris Blair, the voice of the LSU Tigers. Really interesting stuff there with him. He was not surprised in the least that Will Wade returned to LSU, which I thought was fascinating. So you can certainly check that out, and we'll have all this stuff up for you in podcast form just a little bit later on. Plus, Josh has made it even easier. You can just go listen up on our website, the newly redesigned SportsTalkSC.com. It's right there on the homepage. All the audio that we have from tonight will be right up there for you as well. Josh, are you continuing to tweak the website, and are you finally happy with the way it looks?
Well, I'm happy with the way it looks, but we have another member of the Sports Talk crew that has some other ideas, but it's coming along good.
I will say this. I think the one of the many nice additions and or improvements that we have made to SportsTalkSC.com is the ticker along the bottom of the page.
Yeah, it's fun. You can click on some of the – it depends on what Chris and Phil and Smitty, what they put on there, but a lot of them you can click on the specific word or the message on the ticker, and it sends you to a tweet or it sends you to the source of where it came. So I'm looking at one right here. Major League Baseball draft takes a total of 29 players with ties to the Palmetto State. You click on it, and it takes you to the story that we were talking about. So it's pretty cool, and it works. That's the great thing. And there's a scoreboard that'll right now it just has the Brave scores, but it'll come a lot more in handy whenever we're into baseball and basketball and even football season.
Yeah, no doubt. So check that out, peruse through, and enjoy the labors of Josh's love Certainly not his payment, but labors of his love at SportsTalkSC.com. By the way, don't forget to drop by our Twitter page while you're at it and vote in this week's poll question presented by Larry Lucas, State Farm Insurance in Columbia, and also in Lexington. Multiple national analysts have put Shane Beamer on their hot seat lists this summer. How many wins will it take to get him off? 6, 7, 8, or 9, and right now 8 pacing the way with 49%, 9 at 13%. So you're basically looking at just over 60 that believe the Gamecocks have to win 8 or 9 for Coach not to be
agree.
in. I think so too. In some further hot water come the end of the season. All right, let's check in. We've got some text messages we want to run through at 803-900-4847. And Josh, what do we have here on the text line tonight?
Yeah, one good text message here. It's a tweet, actually, just a tweet, no message, and it says it's a tweet coming from NCAA March Madness and their women's basketball biggest followings in women's basketball, where the top women's programs rank across college basketball on Instagram. So it starts off with Duke at number 1, and remember, this is the most followed women's basketball team on Instagram. So Duke, UNC, UConn, Kentucky, Kansas, Michigan, and then South Carolina at number 7. And South Carolina has 314,000 followers. Then it goes to Michigan State, Iowa, and then LSU at number 10.
And if I am reading this correctly, if I can read the numbers correctly, I think South Carolina's followers on Instagram are about half as many as UConn has on Instagram.
That's right. And Duke has 1.7 million followers. So there's a big jump there.
Now, again, this has no bearing, obviously, on the attendance at ball games and certainly how these teams do, because if that were the case, UCLA would certainly be somewhere in the top 10, the reigning national champions, and they're nowhere to be found. And Iowa, you would think, would have actually fallen off a little bit now that Caitlin Clark has moved on and are taking her skills over to the WNBA. But what I find fascinating is the fact that Duke and North Carolina, I think this speaks more to the following, and you look at the top 4, actually the top 5 programs that are listed here, Josh, what do you think those 5 programs have in common?
The top 5, so Duke, UNC, UConn, Kentucky, and Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great question. I honestly have no clue. And
their
I'm looking
men's
at
basketball programs are almost in that order in terms of popularity and or success over the last 15 or 20 years.
I want to also say something here. I thought this list was interesting. I didn't think this was. It's a little mistelling if you look at it. So I'm not sure, Bergie, if you're looking at it yourself.
I am.
UConn, South Carolina, Iowa, and LSU, those are women's basketball numbers. But all the ones that are not in the color, those are all men's basketball numbers. So Duke, sitting at 1.7 million followers on Instagram, is a men's basketball number. So is UNC, so is Kentucky, so is Kansas, so is Michigan, and so is Michigan State. So UConn is number 1, and South Carolina is number 2. Iowa number 3, and LSU number 4. So that's really what this is, a little mistelling.
Oh, no, it's absolutely mistelling because it says biggest followings in women's basketball. Where did you notice that it was men's teams mixed in?
So I have pretty good eyes. I don't know about you.
Yeah, evidently, I don't have my glasses on, which I probably need to for reading the small print.
For the colored, for UConn, for South Carolina, you see WBB under the thing, but for the ones that are blacked out, it says MBB. And it's very, very hard to see. But I see it. It's very clear as day.
See, NCAA March Madness at March Madness WBB is their Twitter handle. They ought to be ashamed of themselves because this is a flat-out lie. I mean, it's basically what it is.
Yeah.
Because as you pointed out, the headline is biggest followings in women's basketball. But then they throw, and this is why I go back now, I was right. These are the men's teams that are so popular in Duke. And I'd be fascinated to see if UConn's men aren't in the top 5, which would have bumped UConn's women down further. But, yeah, when you see Duke and UNC and Kentucky and Kansas and Michigan clearly on the men's side coming off a national championship, they're going to be pretty popular on Instagram. But I was thinking, this can't be right. I mean, this cannot be right. Okay, all right. So good for you, Josh. Good for you doing some investigative work and finding the flaw in NCAA March Madness on Twitter.
They
should
should
be ashamed of themselves.
They should have titled it "Biggest Followings in College Basketball" because it astounds me. You know, and the caption of the post is "The reach of women's basketball keeps growing," which it is, but the actual image is not very truthful.
So if this is accurate, then both UConn and South Carolina are more popular on Instagram than the Michigan State basketball program.
Or their men team. Yeah, or their men team, right?
Yes.
Because South Carolina men's team is not on here. UConn's men's team is not on here. No team is listed twice, which is interesting to me.
Yeah. I cannot believe I wonder if anybody else is. I'm going to have to scroll through.
I looked through it. I couldn't see anything.
You may be the only person that is, because we got this from a texter.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it was an interesting talking point. I appreciate them sending it in because of UConn and South Carolina. Now, I'd be fascinated because I'm not plugged into Instagram. But my guess is Instagram is also younger. The audience on Instagram is a lot younger than Twitter.
Tends
is that
to be.
accurate?
Tends to be, for sure.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, to slide Duke and North Carolina and Kentucky and Kansas and Michigan in there from their men's team to show the rise. And you're right. I mean, if UConn legitimately is the third most followed basketball program, period, on the women's side or men's side, their women's team number 3, that's a big deal. South Carolina's women's team number 7, that's a big deal. Iowa and LSU inside the top 10. But come on, let's be transparent here. Let's tell the truth and put the women's basketball programs up there and leave the men off the list. Let's do one for the men and one for the women.
Yeah, and it's very it's interesting in general.
Shame on NCAA March Madness, and good for you, Plummer, for catching it. We may have to change your nickname.
The
investigator. You may have to become the Sleuth.
Oh, that works too.
The Sleuth.
I don't know what that
Josh
word means. I'm looking it up
going.
as you're saying it.
All right, before we go, wanted to send out some kudos to a South Carolina native. The ACC announcing earlier today that it has named veteran football official Gary Patterson as its new supervisor of football officials. Patterson is actually a native of our state, I think from Camden, and officiated football since 1994. Actually began in the South Atlantic Conference before advancing to the Southern Conference and eventually joining the ACC in 2002 as a back judge. He was promoted to referee in 2009 and has served in that role ever since. He's worked numerous marquee postseason contests. He worked the 2009 BCS National Championship game. He got to work the 2006 Army-Navy game, 4 ACC title games. He's worked bowl games as well, and actually officiated in NFL Europe during 2005 and 2006. So congrats to Gary Patterson, the new supervisor of football officials in the ACC. All right, that's going to wrap things up. Big thank you tonight to our guest, the Plumber or the Sleuth, for joining us as well, and you folks. And we'll see you tomorrow. Talk some Clemson football here on the program.